So I wanted to create a little bit of a guide to opening up the portfolio documents that I loaded up to Moreau the other night. So when you get to the folder, there's two folders. One is a printable, foldable portfolio. The other is the portfolio square. I would recommend that you start by looking at the portfolio square, which is more of a digital portfolio. This one is a little bit more advanced in terms of layout and what you need to do to change it. So I would start by first going into this folder. And within that, you have a folder for links and also document fonts. So first you need to install the fonts that are in the document. So you would just select all of those fonts, right click and install them on your computer before you open up the portfolio. You'll see here there's two portfolio files. I included what's called an InDesign markup file, which is an IDML. This is a file for people who are using Adobe products before they introduced their subscription mode. So if you have Creative Cloud 6 or 5, you would need a markup file because your InDesign won't be the most up-to-date. If you do have Creative Cloud, then your InDesign should be updated automatically, so you'll just use the regular InDesign document. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that up right now. The first thing that happens is you get this note that you have 41 links to sources that are missing, and that's totally fine. We're going to fix that up later. I did not include the links in this file to all of these gray boxes, which is why you got that notice. These gray boxes are just placeholder images and they don't really matter. So I didn't want to include them in the links palette so that you would have like 41 instances of this drawing. You're going to be replacing all of these little gray boxes with your own images anyways. So I didn't see the point to include them. But in case you're wondering, you can go over here to your links palette, and this is going to show you all of the links that are in your file. A link is just an image that has been placed within the file, and it's kind of referenced back to its location on your hard drive. So if you just hover over top of an image, you can see the path of the image is located there. So whenever you move an image from one folder to another, it's going to change its location, and that might result in missing links. Now, Kristen is going to do a more in-depth tutorial on links and how to replace them and how to keep track of them. But what I would recommend is that as you're working, I've provided you with these folders, Project 1, Project 2, and Project 3. That's probably where you've put the majority of your graphic content. But once you begin working within your layout, I would recommend saving a copy into this layout file. So you might just rename this Portfolio Square Master and then your name, and begin putting all your edited, reduced graphic content into this folder called links. And that way, all of your images and all of your JPEGs and all your PDFs are going to be located in one area, so you always know where you can replace them from. So when you do want to replace a link, you can go down to this little link section here, and that will allow you to look for the image on your computer. For me, I just saved this placeholder square right onto my desktop, so I could just import it there, and it would go through and replace all of the files in the documents with that gray square. You don't have that square, and you don't want to replace these links with all the same images anyways. So I would just recommend not replacing the links right now and just going individually through and replacing images by dragging and dropping them in over top of these. So let's see, the next thing I wanted to tell you about is that this view, which you're seeing right now, that has all of these grids and guides, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So if you just want to go to a quick preview mode, you could just press W on your keyboard, and that's going to take you into the preview mode. So I find this is great for just making sure that all of my stuff looks good without the grids and guides on. So I'll just press W to get back to my layout mode. And this gives you the preview of what the document is going to look like exactly as it is. Now you might be wanting to replace fonts because you have installed your own fonts. So I showed you this in a previous video, but I'll just show it to you quickly again. When you go to Type, you can go to Find and Replace Font. And here is where you can select all of the fonts in the file and replace them with your own. So I have a few different styles. I have Poppins Bold, which are all of these big title text over here. I have Light, which are some of the subtext areas. And then I have Garamond 12 Regular, which is this body text. and Garamond 12 italic, which is the caption text. So you might want to just run through the template first and just see where these texts are used. You can always go to Find First, which will show you the first instance of where a text is used in the document, and then you can decide for yourself, what do you want to replace it with? So you'll just navigate to whatever font you're using, and you can use Change All to change all of the text, or if you just want to change one specific instance, you can just use Change and then go Find Next. And it will take you down to the next instance, and you can keep kind of deciding your way through the document as you go. I want to just debrief a little bit about images in InDesign. There are a few different ways to place or replace images in InDesign. So where I have all these placeholders, the easiest way to replace an image is simply to select it and then navigate to where you would like to draw in a photo from. So I'm going to go to my headshots, and I'm going to just drag and drop it right into the picture frame itself. So this gray box, this highlighted gray box, is a picture frame. It's basically a placeholder area where you can drag an image into. But you can also just drag and drop images right into InDesign by yourself. So you can do it like this, and it'll come up with that little placing icon, and you can drop it in like this. You can drag in multiple images at once, and you will place them individually like that. You can also use Control D, which is the place image shortcut. So there you can navigate to your whatever folder that you're navigating from and select an image and drop it in like this. I think that the easiest is to just select a picture frame and drop in a new image to replace it. Sometimes you're going to have to make edits within the image. So I'm just going to drop in another image just as an example. Obviously, I wouldn't be using my headshot as one of my project images, but you see that there's a difference between selecting the picture frame, which shows up with this green outline, versus double clicking inside. Now you've accessed the actual image itself, and you can resize the image within the frame. So if you just move the green frame, accidentally have this double placeholder image happening right there, you move around the green frame itself. Whereas if you double click within the frame, you access the image file, and you can manipulate it, you can rotate it, you can turn it around. That's how you can manipulate an image within the picture frame. Okay, now in this instance, of course, I want to go through and delete all of the duplicate items that are here. That's just an accident because I did this late at night. Over here, if we go to pages, you see that all of the pages in the document can be previewed in this panel here, and you see that there's quite a few. There's 35 layouts to choose from. All of them are different. But what you do want to do is go through and just take a look at all of these options and see which of them you feel like is going to work best for you. So there's a few different options for showcasing your resume and your previous experience, having a little blurb about yourself, your bio statement, and a photo. You could also choose to take the emphasis off your experience and put it more onto your education. I always like to include the information that an employer would be interested in one spread so that they don't have to look back on any separate documents. Then we have a whole bunch of layouts that are introducing a project. And you see here we have the project data, a description, a project subtitle, and the project title. We also have captions down here, and all of these are separated onto different layers. So our grids and guides, our background colors, which are these little background squares here, the images, the text, and the captions. Everything is independently separated so that it's easy to keep organized. And I would recommend that you make sure you're on the correct layer as you're working. Within these pages, as you scroll down, you're going to see some different types of layouts. You will see layouts like this, which are a project introduction layout. You'll see layouts like this that are a spread of just one image, or you'll see others that are a couple of images. What I would recommend is that you take a look through all of these pages and you select just one project introduction page. So you don't want to be mixing up different ways of introducing your projects. You don't want to use this page and then on the next project use this page. you just want to use the same project introduction page for all of your projects so that you have some consistency and regularity to your template. So I might be interested in using this particular spread as the regular template introduction page. And in that case, I would go over to Pages, and I would take the page that I'm on, which are highlighted here, and I would select both of those and drag them up. If your slider won't move up, then you can just drag and drop it until you see a line somewhere before or after a page. So you see there's like a little line here, which would mean you're inserting it after this spread. So after the CV pages, I'm just going to drag and drop these project pages, and now my project introduction is here. And I might choose 2 or 3 more spreads that are not project introduction spreads to highlight the rest of my images. So it's really going to depend on what types of images you're showcasing, whether you have a lot of maybe long linear views or section drawings, maybe you have more plan views or square drawings. You have to do an analysis yourself of what types of drawings you're bringing in. And that's another way that you can seek to unify things by cropping them to a similar aspect ratio. So maybe I would like to also use this full spread layout here, and so I can just select that and drop that in afterwards. And finally, I quite like this asymmetrical layout here, so maybe I would select that one and drag and drop it up to my project layout. And I think that, having 3 spreads per project is probably enough. You don't want to really get more than that. So then what I would do is just delete all of the other spreads in this document. You can select them all by clicking on the first page and then pressing down Shift and clicking on the last page and just hitting them to the garbage like that. And now you can select these pages, right click and go duplicate spreads. It's going to duplicate them to the end of your document. So what you're going to have to do is just grab this last cover page and drag it down to the end of the document. So you can do this again and again, drag that last page down to the end of the document. So now you have 3 project spreads. They have consistency because you've selected a template for each page, and now you have something to target to fill in your images. So you can move pages around, you can change the colors of the blocks in the background as you like. You will change out all of your text, you will change out all of your fonts, and you'll change out all of your information that you want to feature. Just delete the pages that you don't want to use or that you're not going to be using, and then remember to save your file into your layout folder here as a unique name. That way you can always go back to the master file and grab different layouts if you want.